But in your series as well, you take more 2-0s than your other opponents, you will rocket up the ladder, as EDG can attest to, sitting in first place for about 2 weeks now. But never mind that, Gamtee versus World Elite. Game 2 is upon us. Gamtee over on the blue side. World Elite have swapped to the red. We have Sion got the first 2 bans for Gamtee, and World Elite have gone for Azir and Karthus once again.
4 identical bans so far, so nothing's changed in terms of the first 4 bans. You feel like Gamtee might want to do something to try to set up a first pick. You never want a situation where 2 priority champions fall to World Elite. So waiting to see what comes through for the last ban in this situation. They're taking their time.
Yeah, trying to remember what World Elite's last ban was on before. Nautilus actually taken away. Quite interesting there for Gamtee. We saw World Elite go pretty open on their last ban. I think Gamtee did the same on the red side, just trying to let some picks through and see what they can pick up here. But the swap side's over now, so drafting will change just a bit. And LeBlanc there, respect again to Zhao, who was their last one.
Yeah, so 3 identical bans coming through from World Elite. The Nautilus is the adaptation coming through from Gamtee. World Elite put such a high priority on Lulu last game. Maybe that will force Gamtee to answer and pick the Lulu up themselves. But I don't feel like the Lulu is the cornerstone of a World Elite victory.
No, and Aluka actually impressed me. I think top lane Lulu's been something to look for. Let me certainly had a good look on it, but Kalista was the other ban. I was trying to remember what it was. Makes sense. Whenever you have a champion unbanned from the last series with this many identical bans, teams almost get baited into picking the unbanned champion, but Gamtee might just have to take it. Kalista's very powerful.
And honestly, with Urgot banned, first picking Kalista, there's not really a lot of downside. There's lanes that do fine against Kalista, but it's only really Urgot that makes you hate your life if you're Kalista. You can navigate all those other tricky lanes.
Yeah, I think having Urgot and Sion both banned away does open up Kalista nicely, so it is Gamtee's first pick. Aluka straight back to the Lulu, though, is already locked it in. Spirit once again just flashing his Riven for a bit of style.
But prioritizing Lulu over Maokai, this is a change for Aluka, who looked to only be playing those melee immovable tanks in the top lane. It's basically been Maokai and Sion only for the last month to 6 weeks, but he's moved towards a mage pick. Definitely the supportive flavor, was 40% CDR and then AP stacking very early in that game. And Spirit, the Sejuani is left open to him. It's definitely not the same early pressure as a Nidalee, but moving with the patches and going for the Sejuani.
Yeah, is going to take Sedge away there, so good strong early picks coming through for World Elite. I do certainly, it's important to note that Aluka has not been playing the mages. Lulu's kind of a new thing for him, but certainly the same style of champion, very utility team-focused pick from Aluka.
It's not quite the Nunu, though. It doesn't have necessarily the aggressive counter-jungling options, and I mean, could definitely be a reversal of jungle matchup in this situation, as Huey's the one that's thinking about taking away the Nunu. Waiting to see what Gamtee want to pick up. Okay, it's going to be the Morgana. And again, more safety for Kalista, regardless of whether it's in lane or just for the comp. The Black Shield definitely going to be trained towards that 80 carry.
Yeah, love Morgana Kalista. Even though Nautilus is banned away, which would have been one of the strong picks there, Nunu now going to get taken into Spirit there by Huey, so reversing the matchup from game 1. And Mystic, he's got Jinx open again, but Tail, I actually was surprised he didn't take it away there, and instead they'll go aggressive. They'll take Janna away from Syncdream, but Mystic's on Lucian.
Mystic's really comfortable on this champion, but look at that. That's a Corki lock-in pastry time, probably going to be Corki mid. We've already mentioned that Gamtee and Xiaohu in particular looks best when he's off the meta picks and moving towards Corki mid, which we saw earlier today actually in the NALCS semi-final matchup between Cloud9 and Team Liquid. Not so surprising, the Corki mid, I'm not sure what it's going to be. There's been some very inventive Corki builds coming out through recently. Luden's Echo Trinity Force, even though those items don't really scream synergy, a very poke-centric, big one-centric build coming through from Corki could be an option, or just maybe a traditional Corki mid.
Putting the mixed damage here with those builds, but last pick, Dr. Mundo has arrived.
Dr. Mundo has arrived, and we'd have to say it's going to be a Mundo top lane coming through. It's going to be against Lulu, doesn't have the most lane pressure. I mean, she has a lot of lane pressure, but not a lot of kill pressure coming in the top lane. So if Mundo can navigate that laning phase, probably doesn't have to worry too much. And to be honest, it's looking like a 1, maybe 2 damage comp coming through from World Elite. Now Vladimir being locked in doesn't necessarily have kill pressure on Mundo either. So Dr. Mundo, you feel like maybe this game, despite having 280 carries, despite it being double AD, will they be able to blow through this Mundo in the late game?
Vlad was fantastic in the last game, but not entirely sure I like it as much in this particular comp. They are going to take it away, though. Shea will play it once again. We'll be into Corki, which sounds like, again, another tough matchup.
And the regen coming through from Mundo, unless we see the Morellonomicon, which is almost assuredly going to come out from Aluka, you feel like regen is going to be so useful against the damage that World Elite are coming through. I'm not sure how they're going to cement the kills onto Mundo with the team comp they put forward. You do worry about the late game for World Elite. But it's going to be an interesting one. I like what Gamtee have selected, but World Elite, they're on comfort. Jie looked good on the Vladimir. Mystic has been an excellent Lucian player. So who am I to question them?
I mean, I think the bottom lane is where we certainly have to look there, because if Mystic gets ahead once again, Jinx was annoying enough. Lucian, when he starts snowballing, man, is he scary. As we do jump into our matchups, we'll start in the top lane, very tanky, Mundo versus Lulu.
So it's going to be Mundo versus Lulu. Definitely going to be Lulu's lane early with the ranged auto attack and the better wave clear. Mundo's just going to try and navigate the lane. Might be a lane swap, of course, to factor in as well. This is the two-man front line. It's going to be Nunu and Mundo, and they need to be the one eating the Sejuani ultimate. If Spirit can get it onto the double AD squishy backline, sounds like a chocolate reference there, but definitely the center that you want to get to is that double AD. He'll be successful. Not the best laning matchup for Tail here, as of course Lucian trades so well before Martial Poise can really allow him to jump away from that piercing
you're going to
line.
have some pretty sick mechanics there to get out from under that Q. Not quite Vayne, unfortunately, not instant mobility, but Morgana John are going to go very passive on the supports here as well. And Corki Vlad, probably the biggest contention there. Very aggressive on the Corki versus very late game focused on the Vlad.
And one of those rare lane matchups where actually Janna's probably on the winning side. You take Lucian Janna over the Morgana Kalista. It screams lane swap to me, pastry time. I feel like Gamtee are going to have to set themselves up for success and find a way to navigate Dr. Mundo to the late game where it doesn't look like maybe there's the potential that even 6-item Lucian will struggle to kill a 4 or 5 tank item Mundo.
Yeah, we talk about Mundo being almost on a timer for a lot of teams. We'll see if they can get it done. They're about to hop straight onto the Rift for Game 2. And welcome back here for Game 2 between Gamtee and World Elite. World Elite currently up a game in the best of 2, looking for crucial points. And he's back, Papa Smithy, Chinese Mundo bot. Sorry, Nunu bot, not Mundo bot. That would be a sight.
Just as annoying as English Nunu
yes,
bot.
Possibly even more annoying is Gamtee going to take that annoying laugh and face check a brush with it. Aluka pops down the Trinket Ward. I like the setup there from Gamtee, sort of hiding the 4 members off to the side, but they just get some vision. No invade quite yet.
And if Aluka got a bit bloodthirsty and overextended for an auto or two, she was going to find so many skill shots and potential death there, Lulu. So lucky that Aluka backed away from that engage. The aggression is on, though. Gamtee, they're trying to scout out for the potential lane source, but you can see on your mini-map, the answering wards will come through from World Elite.
Wards everywhere for Gamtee, and they might even be looking for the lane spot that we had a chat about before getting into this game. It would make a lot of sense for Gamtee to set up the lanes this particular way, especially with all the matchups that they could be facing, and looks like they're going to commit here. They're sitting in the brush looking for the red buff.
But you can see that World Elite want to opt into 2v2 on the top side. Lucian and Janna already power back and get back to re-invade their red side. Don't have any wars themselves, so probably don't want to go anywhere near any of those camps if you're Mystic and Conan.
Yeah, actually waiting as well. I love this play from World Elite, just buying as much time as you can. They'll walk past the Trinket Ward, of course, but at this point, Gamtee probably can't commit to a swap back. In fact, they are. Tail already recalling with Sync Dream.
Yeah, the killer whale on your screen. Probably as angry as Tail and Sync Dream are to some degree. Tail will back, so he will exit this lane very late. Important thing to mention is no potential freeze coming through from this counter swap. So you'd have to say advantage World Elite because they've forced Kalista to enter lane late with no support in a situation where she can't even freeze the lane. And Aluka is going to get so much early experience and CS just from the fact that they've scoped out this lane swap.
Yeah, delicious free creeps there. But a good guess almost from World Elite, just being like, okay, we think this is what you're going to do. And even waiting for the Warg was a brilliant adaptation. But we're in the mid lane now. Xiaohu's hit level 2 and she is already struggling.
So even though I talked about the creative solo queue builds coming through from Corki, it should definitely just be a Trinity Force, a Bloodthirster, more standard build coming through. At this point, doesn't necessarily have any melee divers apart from Spirit coming to item. Maybe don't need the Blade of the Ruined King, but going to be poke heavy. Whatever he builds is a Corki.
Tail finally back down in the bottom side as well, just getting a couple minions. Sync Dream will join in to potentially zone Aluka up, but 11 CS already to the 2 of Dr. Mundo, currently sitting in the top, actually getting free from. And World Elite committing here. They are swapping back for the 2v2.
They're swapping back for the 2v2. There's going to be a lot of rotations this game, with Janna actually at the back, so Mystic not actually getting the movement speed advantage coming to lane. Eventually we'll catch up, but we'll have to see how this rotational play goes because you're never really sure who's the big winner and who's the big loser when you see consistent lane swaps.
I think you could tell that World Elite's bottom lane really likes to fight here. Aggressive item choices from Mystic. Aggressive play in general in the 2v2s. They might want to pick on Tail a bit here, who does like to opt into the late game carries. And with Lucian John and now back in this lane, he will have a chance to.
So the scary thing for World Elite is that you're against 280 carries. You might think, okay, need to really farm up to the late game. We're against probably the 2 highest spiking 2 damage carries in the game. Corki, Trinity Force. We already know how strong that is. Kalista, once she gets Bloodthirster Hurricane, looking for the Ren sets in a fight. The part time for these double ADs to get strong is very early, so you want to punish Kalista as much as possible, because if you just lane swap on Lucian, happily builds up an Infinity Edge towards a Static Shiv, for example, you're going to get very ways. Let me's caught out, has to flash.
That was a sick Arctic Assault by Spirit, forcing the flash. Just managed to dodge past him anyway, but Let Me flashes away, but he will not be that safe again.
And look, you're getting flashes away as Sejuani. That's the power of Spirit, an excellent jungle pathing. In all the madness of the swaps, having such excellent pathing to force a flash on Sejuani, so just how good Spirit is.
Yeah, Spirit's excellent here. A little bit behind on CS actually, as Nunu in his jungle right now taking it away, and there's no jungle on that side that Spirit's on, so ganking top lane, the one disadvantage there is that there is no jungle creeps for him to take.
It's always hard to estimate how many CS is equivalent to blowing the summoner on one of the big crown jewels of the Gamtee comp.
Yep, Huey actually helping push here. Just wants to get into the turret and pressure Aluka. Let Me going to move in there as well. Right now, just a bit of babysitting happening for the Mundo. CS fairly even, so perhaps not necessary, but with the flashpoint, maybe scared of Spirit coming back.
And look, in general, that might be a better use of Huey than necessarily going for a gank in mid. They worked for Spirit last game, but in this situation, setting up the Mundo to get as much CS as possible, has 26. You can see abnormally high CS values for what has been a couple of lane swaps already among the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, the top lane is almost reaping all the benefits here from the swaps that have happened.
They're matching the AD carries. How often do we say that in recent patches?
And especially in a lane swap, not ever almost here as Tail. Still trading off with Mystic, very aggressive despite the defensive supports here in the bottom side of the map. There are speltive hits being traded left, right, and center, and with Spirit coming down, it might now be in favor of World Elite. Oh, Huey, sneaking the dragon off to the side, though.
I'm not actually caught here. I'm not even sure if Huey had Vision of Spirit. You'd have to say no, given the fact that Nunu was there and wasn't. And amazingly, this might actually be a solo dragon.
This is the sneakiest dragon I might have seen in a while, but Huey looks to be getting away with it. Level 4 Spirit charging in. Black Shield down, though, as well. Binding lands into Conan. Good Tornado going to help disengage, but everything goes wrong, and Huey still on the dragon. Should be able to steal it.
Just such an amusing mini-map here where you can see actually a lot's going on above you, Spirit, but he was the only one who didn't know about it. There's the dragon. Going to be spotted out at least on Dr. Mundo in the top lane, so they'll have a timer. But that's a very creative first dragon for Gamtee.
And Shia realizes Zayu's left, although the creep wave going to help him in this trade. Turns around though, Huey also coming in. That's why he's getting so aggressive. Hemoplague comes down, but Vladimir can't finish the kill.
Yeah, and calculations very on point. Flash!
Flash is forcing the heal. Will Sanguine pull the snowball? Shia a little too aggressive there, but he really wanted that kill.
He knew he wouldn't get punished by Huey. No other champion, apart from maybe Fizz, can go for such an aggressive move. But in this case, has the ranged auto to be able to do it. The transfusion would have been enough to take down Corki, and then can just pop the pull, pop the skill shot that is, well, sorry, the targeted ability that is the snowball, and get away. So has to use both summoners, but almost kill pressure coming through from Shia.
Forcing the heal out of Xiao, who does keep his flash with Corki, so looking okay, but at least getting some free time in the lane, although this is a very aggressive stay. But Xiao, the same here as Spirit's now going to join back in. Xie moving in there, going to go into Huey as their target, it seems like. Damage coming in, big slow now, and Xiao does have his flash, but he's getting so low on HP, forces it very late. And Shia going to keep his advantage in the lane.
Yeah, you have to respect the early Northern Winds max damage coming through from Spirit. That's the big change in the tuning of these spells. Spirit's caught, but very tank.
Good binding, and actually going to go into Sync Dream here. Can't really do anything. Ken Morgana does have Ignite and the flash with Spirit. She's going to chase in. Kalista too far late in the lane. Huey will rejoin, and Spirit will back away now as a result. Even triggers the Raptor there for the ward clear.
Spirit's being very alpha this game, I have to say, Patient Time. So aggressive in the enemy jungle, not respecting Morgana at all. Happy to use Arctic Assault aggressively because he's one of the few members on this map that actually still have flash that could look for potential kill pressure. Northern Winds getting all the maximum health damage has made Sejuani so relevant because you just can't trade. That ability, especially in the late game, has basically 100% uptime.
Yeah, it's smart aggression though from Spirit. He's known the movement. He knew he could go into pressure Morgana. Mid lane's out of there as well.
Huey had already blown its flash and was low on health, so I completely agree.
Going to hit level 6 off the Grump, so look to gank even fiercer now as he comes back in down the bottom. Still trading back and forth. Lucian, a very slight CS advantage, but he emphasized slight here in the lane. And given all the swaps in the matchup here, Kalista very happy to get out of the lane like this.
Looking at the CS values, 7 CS behind in what is a tricky lane matchup for Tail. He's probably happy with how this early game turned out, especially because it could have been so much worse given the early lane swaps that were initiated and the counter swaps that had to happen. Mundo himself also only 10 CS behind, so despite the fact that they have 2 disadvantageous lane matchups, Gamtee doing just fine.
Yeah, the pressure not there for VOD Elite quite yet in the top and bottom sides of the map, and Xiaohu, the man who's supposed to be winning his matchup, looking good and aggressive now with his Shin completed. GA has navigated well to get to this stage even, but Hextech Revolver level 7, not quite enough to start tipping the balance.
I mean, it's a very difficult laning matchup early for Vladimir, but the fact that he's able to match CS, there's always a point, and it's almost always level 9, where you just have enough regen that you can take trades, even with the likes of Corki. When Trinity Force is complete, maybe those trades will be just too strong, but at this present power point, Vladimir is just fine.
And you can see, I think VOD Elite really respecting the binding in the bottom side of the map despite the matchup, because Mystic has been playing super far back in. Maybe it's Yui who he's worried about, and he was worried too before because Nunu just a moment ago was in the tri-bush.
You have that much defensive vision, only just the vision over the river at this point, nothing over the tri-brush, so awkward because you want to harass aggressively, but then you open yourself up to a gank even from Nunu, because Nunu, if you're overextended in the lane, you take a lot of damage. Jia and Xiaohu show us some damage trades in the mid.
Nice trade there from Gio as he jukes a couple rockets. Minion blocks one, that's crucial. Huey is going to come back in. The Hemo Plague popped and Xia does like his chances. Spirit's coming back in as well. Going to just miss the knock up though, but the ulti comes through. They want the kill onto Huey. Sanguine Pool's going to dodge it, and first blood goes to Xie.
And Xia's been seeing a lot of Vladimir bans for multiple weeks. You start to see why very good usage of the pool. The one ability that really has a bit of creativity. You can use offensively, they can use defensively. He's been using it very, very smartly. And Spirit, he might be the one to really unsettle this double AD come through his best clear love impression from a couple of days ago, because diving into the back line will be doing a lot of percentage health damage and should get super tanky.
Yeah, and that moment from Xia, that was offensive and defensive as Spirit looks to take away the blue buff. Very nice dodge with the absolute zero by Vlad to secure the first blood. Spirit will steal away that blue buff there as well, continuing to deny Xiaohu of precious blue buff there. And Huey, you're going to get face checked here. Spirit will slap away the ward, just get one hit on it, and Huey returns. He actually has a blue buff apparently.
Even cutely had the Wolf Spirit to spot out Huey. So in this position, you can see Spirit once again jungling from ahead. He's 12 CS up, has a kill involvement as well. Very early Cinderhulk completed, and the Sightstone, I guess, just to match and give some defensive wards coming through. You have to say a Sightstone when you're losing the jungle matchups awkward as there's a damage trade.
Yeah, Fate's call though, bit awkward with the Soul Strikers, but Mystic still going to get locked up. Great flash there, back into the Monsoon, the shield not enough, and Tail gets the kill. Now Conan going to get bound up. There's a teleport coming in from Aluka. Wild Growth there, actually going to help, and Conan gets the kill. Came in at just the right time, did the Lulu, little low on mana, but going to keep coming in. Huey's going to join in as Aluka tries to snipe out the last few hits, but can't get it. Conan comes in with the shield. Aluka trying to run away, but Nunu not one to ever give up on a chase. Here is now Xiaohu down in the bottom, gets tornadoed. Phosphorus bomb lands. Aluka going to go down. What? Tries to recall. Xiaohu gets the kill though.
I think he accepted his fate there, Pastry Time. Knew he was going to die, but amused you to no end at least. I see Spirit's here. Very, very quiet though, because he hasn't been spotted and has some pretty interesting burst damage potential.
Collapse onto Gia, maybe no. Oh my god, that ulti tried to snipe Morgana, but a good no. Sync Dream, oh, he recalled.
He tried to play the waiting game to snipe him in the shop, wasn't able to do it, and now a long team fight cooldown is down. I'm not sure Xia can stand up to Vladimir, but you never really know with his consistent damage.
Xia gonna try, but Huey's gonna join in once again, ruining all the parties is Huey. Sanguine Pool, not enough with the flash. Actually is there. She is still running away. Spirit's back as well. And Huey says not again. Gets flash Arctic assaulted. Xiaoyu forced to flash as well as Sync Dreams rotated in, but VOD Elite blowing flashes everywhere.
Yeah, all escape summoners used in the mid lane for what is an even trade. Always deceptive is Vladimir because he gets such a burst of healing on a very short cooldown, just over 3 seconds coming through. So you never can tell if he can quite stand up to a damage trade. When Xiaohu hits that Trinity Force, which awkwardly he still doesn't have, of course, in the mid lane, gets a lot more experience than a normal 2v2 Corki, but doesn't necessarily get Trinity Force any faster.
No, and that Dragon going to go to VOD Elite. Gamtee snuck away the first one with the level 4 Nunu solo, but VOD Elite going to get as Aluka solos Huey in his own jungle. Great catch.
Look at that aggressive ward he had down. One at the Gromp, one at the Wolves. Gets a solo kill by Aluka. Huey just thought he'd pick up an extra camp before he had to shop and was punished for it.
Yeah, Nunu getting counter jungle by top lane is not something we normally see, but Aluka loved the Morelli Nomicon that's finished up now as well. Good early aggression now enabled, and of course, got to keep the Mundo down.
But you worry about this Mundo being kept down. Usually we're talking about a lane swap. Usually we're talking about the late game before he hits 3-4 items. He has a Spirit Visage at 13 minutes. This Dr. Mundo is going to be massively strong in just 10 to 15 minutes time.
Not being kept in the lane, that's for sure. A Spirit, ulti back up, Tail going to check it, but throws in a ward. Spirit's going to have to get somewhere, but Sync Dream ready with the ultimate. Conan going to try and get the disengage. Good Tornado. Spirit does get killed by the Ren, though Conan can't disengage. Fate Skull going to pop up both there, but no follow-up, unfortunately, as Mystic turns around for a bit of damage, but Tail looking to get aggressive. Huey's around here as well. Going to power them up with a Blood Bowl. Mystic gets shot there by the Binding, actually tries to get the culling down, but Tail gets a double in and amongst them as Conan going to get slowed as well. As Xiaohu's going to swoop in for the kill. Huey claims it instead, but Blue Buff going to go over as well. Massive win for Gamtee.
And a huge nightmare begins for World Elite. Sync Dream was the MVP. Hit a Binding onto Spirit and the ultimate to kill the very tanky Piggy. Then another Binding onto Mystic. 3 kills for free. It's not good reading if you're a World Elite fan. They need to win this game, even for a hope. Their season is over if they lose.
Yeah, so looking a little dire right now. Lead actually still in their advantage as far as gold goes. Dragons even and World Elite just up a tower, so not too bad. But it's not really what we can see right now that's the issue, is it, Papa? It's what is coming with the Mundo scaling, with Kalista getting stronger.
There's not many times when a double AD comp you can think outscales an enemy team comp, but with Mundo being thrown into the factor, usually it's Mundo outscaling double AD. But this Mundo, it's not been a lane swap. Usually Mundo is lane swap and repeatedly ganked under turret. So if you're able to keep within 500 gold, and the Mundo especially is hitting early item timings, it kind of throws a lot of these matches out the window. And you have to say Gamtee, just because of the Dr. Mundo navigating early game, are actually significantly ahead of World Elite, even factoring in double AD.
Yeah, right now, though, they are certainly. As Shie going to try and get a couple wards down. Does have one. Going to put it pretty aggressively forward there as he has taken out the tower. In fact, the only one that's going down is the mid turret there for Gamtee. Bottom turret being the takeaway from Gamtee as they just picked that one up recently. Spirit still pathing around, trying to get some ganks down. Sightstone for some deep vision as well. Double Ruby Crystal actually looking for a very cost-efficient build. And no major items completed except for the top lane. It's the Mundo, like you said, that's really winning right now.
And Dr. Mundo, he needs a couple of tank items, specifically Randuin's and Thornmail, to just ensure that he can be the one to occupy the time of both of Lucian. If he can completely trivialize Lucian, the only other consistent damage dealer is Vladimir, and who might really be going for a tanky build again. It doesn't look like it's going to be the Spectre's Cowl this time. I think you can see Xiaohu, he's still not got the Trinity Force, so the damage is still not really sticking.
Yeah, no, it's weird to see Corki in this sort of lane not really be able to stand up to Vlad, but it's level 11 Vlad who's got some basic items, but Xiaohu just doesn't have his first major item completed. Get a Spirit, going to look for the wraparound gank as well. Xiaohu, how creative can he get? Very smart Valkyrie there into the Wraith Pit, and we'll keep him safe.
You know, with Riftwalk no longer being massive range, you forget that Valkyrie has so much range, able to happily go over to the Raptors, as you mentioned. Yeah, the item timings are definitely slow. I believe he can burst trade with Xia if he all-ins with a Trinity Force, but at this present point, Vladimir in extended trades, we know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to heal up for 250 health every 3 seconds. If you're going for those sustained trades, never go for a sustained damage trade with Vladimir.
No, and she has done wonderful things so far in the Vlad. Now ahead in CS actually in the mid lane, continuing to keep it pushed down very quickly with the Tides of Blood. Level 13 should be a nice little power spike there as well for the Vlad. And no Dragon quite up here. Not too sure what the teams are trying to get vision for at the moment, but still setting up vision around the relevant side of the map. Corki back now with the Trinity Force. It's been a real slow game, Papa Smithy, and that's good news for Gamtee.
And Xia is also being able to build for the situation. In the previous game, he was just needed for the CC, for the Hemoplague effect, so he was able to go Spirit Visage second. But in this game, when he has Lulu and a Sejuani especially, dive buddies you'd have to say, getting the Abyssal Scepter makes so much sense because you can dive into the back, amplify everyone's damage even more than just the 12% from the Hemoplague. And we always say that Spirit, if he gets big enough on this Sejuani, does relevant damage. He will be doing sick damage with the Abyssal Scepter and the Hemoplague.
Yeah, we've seen a clear love carry on Sejuani already. Curious to see if Spirit's maybe looking to the same point, trying to gank the Mundo, but with the tower still up especially, probably not the best target for Spirit Sejuani right now.
This Mundo's just getting bigger and bigger. It's not double ADs against. The Vladimir should be able to escape from Dr. Mundo's wrath and do damage to the backline, but Lucian in particular is going to struggle. 0, 2, and 1, not snowballed. And Mundo, he is only showing a Spirit Visage, but I have a sneaking suspicion he's sitting on quite the bank of gold.
Yeah, probably a big bankroll stacked up there. Been investing heavily as he's just hung out in the top lane. 156 CS, fantastic so far.
He's beating a Lulu.
Yeah, which is impressive. I mean, Lulu's supposed to be the lane bully, but even with that 1v1 matchup, Mundo was not held down at all. Spirit barely parked there to try and get some early ganks. 0-0-0, just exactly where Mundo wants to be. Plenty of farm and no involvements. Perfect.
But Mundo hasn't been able to shop, has a lot of unspent gold. You have to think the base utility in the kit, if both Aluka and Let Me teleport to a fight, it's more relevant if Mundo's missing items than Lulu, just because Lulu's got 20% CDR and plenty of utility for her team. In this case, Mundo needs the selfish stats to be relevant, and Dragon's only 15 seconds away. Stop those shops. No, it looks like Aluka's happy to seed the lane. I mean, Let Me's not channeling his teleport just yet. He's going to push in and be a bit more aggressive. If he doesn't shop, it's going to be super relevant in the fight. Yeah,
Waterloo getting pretty massively out-rotated here. They were rotating wonderfully in game 1, but Gamtee on top of it this time around. That's going to force the teleport out from Aluka. He has been shopping. Does have a need to see large rod to add in now as well.
Oh, you're buying time for Mundo to push the lane and get it in the right spot. Enjoy that's going to reset. And he's going to go back, picks up a Ninja Tabi, now a Giant's Belt as well. This Dr. Mundo is getting super scary. Looks like he's working towards a Warmog second.
Oh, Sync Dream caught the Spirit just needs to land the ulti. Finds it onto 2. Huey going to get jumped on as Xie immediately flashes on top of Xiaohu. Nunu will go down, and that's the pick they needed.
It was a massive pick. Didn't look like they necessarily had the CC for a pick, but they register it, used the Glacial Prison happily onto one member because it's the enemy jungler. And this should be a second Dragon down for World Elite, despite the fact that Mundo is massive already.
Smart stuff from World Elite, and Gamtee can't really fight a 4v5 right now. Luca gonna tag Tail there. Massive Glitterland Spirit flashing forward, gets the slow, needs to line up the Q, doesn't quite have it yet. Tail hopping away like mad.
But look at that Sync Dream binding over the Raptor wall to stop the gap close coming through. Again, Sync Dream has been a one-man wrecking crew this game, but Spirit is caught.
Spirit really aggressively cleared a ward, but does Arctic Assault through the thick wall. Their Tail getting tagged again by Aluka.
This fight is being fought on so many different areas. Let me pop the ult.
Yeah, and Xiao is still going in, and Spirit lining up another knockup. No ultimate makes Sejuani a little awkward in this situation as Mystic, little too far forward, trying to snipe Xiao, but Spirit eats a binding for it. Let Me gonna get aggressed on, but he's so tanky right now on the Mundo. Mystic still gonna come in. Tornado will pop him up, and Mystic has to kite through so many skill shots. Gets onto Jahu. Wild Growth used there as well onto the Lucian. Gets bound in place, though. Sync Dream again coming up big.
And Xiaohu's position was desperately poor in that gauge. Basically melee range of multiple members from World Elite. Definitely didn't need to be in that situation. So they have to back away. Gamtee, they were trying to be aggressive. They were trying to get in there and cause a bit of disruption, but they kind of bit off more than they could chew by Xiaohu.
Yeah, not too many kills. Spirit blinking low there at the end of all that exchange, but the Dragon did get picked up by World Elite. They have a thin gold lead here of about 200, and Gamtee seem like they're just buying time, which, to be honest, is exactly what they need here.
And the Gamtee, the 2-item core isn't registered onto Tail yet, so again, another person needs to buy a bit of time. Not sure how much gold he's sitting on top of, but doesn't have the Bloodthirster to go with his completed earlier Hurricane. The turret falls. That's the second outer turret down for World Elite. The only person who's kept his turret up is probably the least likely to in Champsite. It's Dr. Mundo, who continues to just no kill involvements, but that's quite a lot of CS onto a Mundo at 21 minutes.
Yeah, looking strong right now. Warmog second seems to be the next pickup, and that'll make him quite the force here in these fights. Zhao is still getting up. Bloodthirster, likely his second item there, and BT's now done for Tails, so things looking good. They can start pushing in with his AD carry. Zhao probably strong enough at this point, even though it's just the Trinity Force, but she is powering up. I love the Merc Treads adaptation in this game as well.
I mean, the Merc Treads makes a lot of sense. Wants to stop the CC coming through. Just the latent CC, because you're all about mobility. As a sustained damage mid laner like Vladimir, Ghost Flash, you just want to get in the back line and ensure that you keep the Tides of Blood stacks up, preferably on the enemy wherever possible. They're sitting on a nice load of CS. They've got the Trinity Force Corki, and they're behind in turrets. They need to start engineering situations here, Gamtee, where they group Corki and Callista under a turret, Nunu as well, and just power down some global objectives.
And Mundo's turret finally falls, so World Elite going to get the 3 outer turrets now completed. That's some good movement for them. I mean, World Elite definitely slow to rotate in some situations in this game, but looked wonderful when they do in the last game. They've got a bit more space to play with now on the map, and they've got to take advantage of it, because then Mundo not getting any smaller in this game.
Not getting any smaller, but again, I mean, World Elite are building up some advantages. 5th Dragon, a lot of other things can unsettle this Gamtee double AD comp. I'm not willing to say they truly outscale World Elite. This Mundo's definitely going to be a big deal, but if they can navigate around them like they did to get that 2nd Dragon, got a pick before Mundo was even relevant. The thing about Gamtee is their position needs to be so on point. There need to be a situation, there can never be a situation where Spirit ults anybody other than Nunu and Mundo. If that's all he can hit, then things are going fine for Gamtee. But if he can somehow either get a flank or get a pick with some ward coverage or just get into the backline, maybe even flash past the Mundo, there's always the potential that you can explode Tail and Xiaohu.
And Spirit getting bigger now, goes back to shop. Glacial Shroud is his next pickup, so the Frozen Heart will be coming through. Aluka also approaching Rabadons rather quickly here, which is a big up for Lulu in as well. Shio still navigating the rest of his build. Curious to see as he goes to shop what he does want to go for his third item, but everyone's still powering up, and it's a tense game here, and the gold lead reflects that only 1,000 gold ahead for World Elite here, and that's nothing, and it's Zony's Hourglass. Shio answers our question.
You can see a very different build coming through, and the WOD, of course, that's the standard first, the Will of the Ancients. Last game it was Spirit Visage into Rylai's because it was more utility build. This time it's Abyssal Scepter into Zhonya's, which tells you one thing, Pastry Time. Get into that back line, throw on the Hemo Plague, and then just stay there as long as possible, continuing to apply that armor reduction, sorry, magic resist reduction effect with the Abyssal and just do consistent damage. He's definitely a dive Vladimir, whereas last game was more about the utility.
Yeah, more of a carry build, honestly, from Xie. Needs to make up for some of the damage, maybe. Was Jinx in the last game, looks wonderful with the Vlad. I was honestly questioning the pick moving into the draft, but the adaptation just in item build here for Xie makes it looks much better, even in a different team comp.
A very flexible champion. Again, has the synergy with the likes of Rylai's, but doesn't force them, and there's an engage.
Hemo Plague down onto Xiaohu, actually Spirit lining up an ulti. Aluka gonna tag Xiaohu with the Glitter Lance. Massive damage coming through. So Hemo Plague just wears off. Huey trying to cancel it up at Xie. He's diving deep there, does heal off Will the Corky, but Spirit going to chase down Huey now. If they can get a couple of targets, even if it takes a while, that's all they need. But World Elite commit everyone and get no one.
World Elite keep getting Gamtee in rotation. There's always unorganized fights. We never see Mundo and Nunu in the front line. That's where the World Elite took strong. They have very strong skirmishing in this comp, and Gamtee need to specifically play around their double AD champions. If they keep getting caught like this, it will just unsettle everything they spent this champ select picking.
And it's a tense game for World Elite again. A must-win scenario for them here. If they even have a chance of making the playoffs, then it's still in Master 3's hands at the end of the day here as well. Looking strong so far. Certainly not the advantage they had in Game 1. That might unsettle them slightly. But if World Elite can pull through this game with some strong late-game decision-making as we move towards that point in this game, World Elite will look very scary, moving into possible playoff contention.
Out of it's a match. Remember, the Tether does go through pool, but no, backs away to Sync Drain.
Yeah, it's smart Sanguine pool timing. Tether, of course, still going, but the stun when you're in target order will not go through.
So Gamtee, they back away. Dragons up again. It's 2-1 in Dragons. Gamtee want to start halting any sort of momentum, because as we mentioned, the 5th Dragon, always crucial, but against Amundo, does a lot of work.
Yeah, and Gamtee stealing away that first one kind of throws a wrench into the plans there for World Elite. They're actually on track for pretty regular 5th Dragon timing because the first one was taken so early, but if they don't get the third one here and it's Gamtee to get the second, all of a sudden that extra win condition of the Dragons kind of falls to pieces.
It's a very curious positioning. You'd expect Mundo to have teleported earlier if they wanted to pick up the Dragon. Now he's going to be late if he gets to the fight. Finally channeling the ult.
Gets it though. Mundo very safe, secure. Let me now on top of the rest of the team. And Shears in the front line. Hemo Play goes down. Finds Tail and Huey. Sanguine Pool pops as well as the Absolute Zero gets cancelled. Spirit tanking so much damage as the Culling comes in, and Gamtee zoned out once again here. Sheer still chasing through. Mystic will go in as well, but unfortunately for World Elite, they didn't get the Dragon and 0 kills.
Yeah, Gamtee take the Dragon. That was a preview of future fights as Spirit flashed past the Mundo to get the Glacial Prison onto Tail. Still not enough damage to take him down. No Vladimir next to him for consistent damage in the back line. We talked about getting on top of Xerath last game. It's the same story. Getting on top of Tail and Xiaohu is the win condition here from World Elite, and Jie, with both mobility summoners down, just isn't able to get to the backline.
Yeah, and we can see the QSS from Tail also making it a tall order. It wasn't going to matter as much dropping that Hemo Plague debuff last game, but this game it makes all the difference.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, it's a carry build, Vladimir, so that you want to just cleanse that effect away. Or QSS it is probably more apt because you cannot cleanse it regularly.
Just drop that debuff as Mystic in the bottom lane, still sitting around trying to farm up. Again, sort of very much slower here in this game versus the big Fed Jinx game he played where he went hyper-aggressive.
But it's an awkward factor. You just look at these gold values. Mystic on the mid-game AD carry is over 1,000 gold behind Kalista. In general, he's the big difference. Remember, Mystic was massive last game on Jinx, was matching CS, winning in CS on a late-game hyper carry. In this game, on more of a mid-game champion. Look, that's Apologies to Lucian, who's still very, very strong. 3 or 4 items in the late game, just struggles with his 500 range. He's at that awkward point where he doesn't have an item advantage. In fact, he has quite a big item disadvantage against both Kalista and Corki. So just the fact that it's a 2 damage comp and Jia doesn't have those mobility summoners available, just makes it awkward team fighting for World Elite. They need to hit some item timing, specifically on Mystic.
Yeah, and Baron's starting to become a real issue as well. You can see a pink ward there for Gamtee as World Elite slide a red ward into the back as well, knowing that here at almost 28 minutes into the game, they have to start worrying about both sides of the map as far as major objectives go. Still a super close game. Gamtee actually take over the gold lead by about 900. So again, not a massive lead, but Gamtee sitting happily farming. We're going to have some late game team fights in this game, Papa Smithy. Unlikely that this game will end before the 45-minute mark, and I'm still not sure who's going to win in those situations.
No, I'm going to tip the hat to Gamtee. If I've learned anything about Dr. Mundo, is that he's a massive force in the late game. And Mystic being so far behind, it really makes this game a struggle here for World Elite. I actually think Jia has also made a bit of a misstep also in terms of build. Definitely is banking some gold. He has to decide between rushing down the Zhonya's or getting the distortion. I feel like his teamfight impact is gated mostly by summoners. So even though Zhonya's is a massive pick, he needs those distortion boots.
Spirit bound there again. This Morgana doing a great job of stopping any momentum that World Elite are going to try and get with some of their engages. Actually a good pick against Sejuani.
This position's much better. Mundo right at the front of the fight. Happy to eat any skill shot you throw out. Warmogs. He's working towards the Randuins as well. Mundo's a big deal.
Yeah, forcing World Elite away. Big Mundo coming through. Not quite the 3 items yet, but plenty tanky on 2.5 right now, especially with the Ninja Turbo joining in. Mystic's going to actually take a snowball and a rocket to the face. Good shield from Conan. Keeps him fairly healthy, but can't tank too much more of those.
Yeah, Mystic has the Phantom Dancer now, so has decent damage. Not to the Mundo, of course, but to the other members. Gamtee fighting smartly around their Mundo, who's at least tanking for Cork.
Yeah, Spirit going in. I think trying to force Let Me Away so we can get an opening to ultimate some of the carries here. Spirit needs to do a lot of work in this game as Sejuani, and we've seen him do work before, but he's got to find the perfect line for an ulti.
Well, he has to catch Corki. At this point, we already know QSS is registered on Kalista. So they either need to force Kalista QSS prematurely or just engage onto Corki, and that makes you more binary. The moment you see a QSS, both teams know what to expect from the enemy. The enemy's going to target someone else, and if you've got another hyper carry, if you've got another relevant, consistent damage dealer, that's the person he's going to be looking for. So Corki got a target on his back.
Spirit whimsied up, actually, maybe going to get aggressive here. Good bullying from World Elite to clear out the pink ward at least that was sitting on Baron, but still fighting for vision here around the pit, and there's so much poke coming in from Xiaohu's Corki especially. Spirit trying to get a flank, but it's a bit awkward. Jia actually going to try and for the fight himself, but now World Elite getting forced back through a choke point.
There's just no engage coming through from Gamtee at all, but they are to some degree happy to pull it into late. It's still very nebulous who wins the late game. One thing that's for sure though, if Gamtee get free hits onto turrets, they mow down the turrets.
Yeah, Spirit even going to aggressively queue back over to the turret just to try and protect it. And you know what? The engage maybe not there for Gamtee, but plenty of good poke coming through.
That's the thing. They've got poke, they've got turret damage. They just have no engage whatsoever, and they're deathly scared of Spirit getting the ultimate onto Corki in particular. There's just so many factors for both teams to consider that the result is a lot of neutral play. At this point, no one's really pushing forward advantage. Baron's not a realistic objective, even though Mundo can tank it for days. And now we see the further item purchases come in. Last Whisper is completed here for Tail in particular. He's got the mid-game items down pat. Yeah,
Mystic still behind as well. Just a Phantom Dancer and a longsword there to join in with his Infinity Edge. So looking for that third major item. I like that Mystic's going a harder carry build, looking for the Phantom Dancer for extra crit there. But Dragon back up in 45 seconds. Aluka still farming away, probably has quite a bit of gold bank there as well. We're at a stalemate here, and again, still not sure who that favors. But one thing's for certain, Papa Smithy, this is a high-pressure game for World Elite.
A super high-pressure game. They need that victory, and you can see that they're not looking to make any mistakes. You don't see Spirit going for overly aggressive invades, trying to go and be hero mode himself, because this is a very tense point. You feel like if World Elite lose a team fight, lose a couple of turrets, maybe even an inhibitor, that's maybe a big enough lead for Gamtee to transit into a win. Both teams have significant amounts of Baron damage, so this Baron's always a realistic objective if a team fight victory comes across as well. And Mystic's kind of caught between two items. He's got the Infinity Edge Phantom Dance. That's the maximum single target build in terms of damage you can pick up. But does he go for the Last Whisper? Because he's still going to take forever to kill Dr. Mundo. Or does he go for the lifesteal just to navigate the Mundo damage that comes through incidentally? Dr. Mundo's model will be on top of Lucian at some point in a fight. And will lifesteal or Armor Pen be the right choice? It's kind of hard to say.
And again, Mystic's caught in the lifesteal dilemma. He needs both in this game, but I don't know if he can buy enough time because major fights are starting to brew here in this game. And it's funny, it's not the burst that needs the Bloodthirst to fall this time. It's a lifesteal through all the consistent Mundo damage.
Speaking of consistent damage, Spirit kind of laughs off any sort of damage.
Whoa, Mystic.
Solos down the Dragon, completely unseen. Gamtee's ward coverage on the bottom side of the map is completely completely non-existent. There's a strategic hold to take advantage of, and World Elite, credit to them.
So smart from World Elite, knowing that Gamtee want Baron Vision so bad, sort of bluff them there in the top side, keep presence and let Mystic solo the dragon away. That's a good advantage to take, but Gamtee will take one right back as they steal away the red buff.
And get the red buff. Well, we didn't see it. Oh. The Howling Gale would have been quite the anticlimactic steal if you're a Gamtee fan, but they get away that buff, so they have it now. But again, we reset, but there's the engage.
Sync Dream getting so low. Fate's Call actually used here as well. Spirit massive there on the front line of Sheer, zoning them out. Pops is on you. Shui goes low. Spirit gets the killers. Let Me looking low as well, but Mystic getting chased down. Conan has to come back in appeal, but Sheer is zoning everybody out. As Spirit aggresses onto Xiaohu. Mystic gets on top of his face, and Spirit gets a double.
World Elite press the go button in any way possible. Flash Glacial Prison gets the engage they wanted. Chunks down him. Syncture, and there's another. Both ADs are down. Suddenly the death time is, because it's been such a long game, but low kills. The death time is long, and this should be Baron for World Elite.
We talked about World Elite needing to find the perfect fights to get themselves into this game, and they found them. Mundo hanging out around the Baron, just trying to be annoying, maybe poke them off it. Baron will go down fairly swiftly to Sejuani, Lucian in particular. Vladimir not shabby on the damage front either. Be a hero steal from Let Me if you could get it with a smite, but Spirit secures it.
But look at this minimap to show how important it was that they chose the right time for the fight and went in for it. Mystic should get away from Dr. Mundo, but look, up the top lane, 3-4 minion waves crashing onto their turrets. In the bottom lane, another grouped minion wave. These minion waves were pushing so well for Gamtee, but they were punished at just the only time that World Elite could look for a fight. Fortuitous timing and all off the back of Spirit.
Thank God that cleaver missed onto Mystic. He might have died there if Let Me had hit it, and so annoying is the Mundo, especially when Spirit have to pull off to the top lane and clear out that minion wave. We'll reset a little bit. World Elite do have some semblance of a lead now, but it's still pretty small.
And look, they looked to their jungler for the clutch play. That was as clutch as can be. I cannot overstate how many minions were going to be pushing. They would have lost both their outer turrets in the top and bottom lane if they didn't choose right that moment to go in. Masterful play from Spirit. I believe it was the Glacial Prison into the flash just to cancel the animation to get the instant cast onto Morgana, and DPS are down instantly. It was excellent clutch play from the clutch master in Spirit.
Yeah, Spirits look good, especially in tense moments. We talked about a high-pressure game from World Elite. Spirit has always come up big in these moments, and they're looking to him now again to put the team on his back, and he's thankfully playing Sejuani, so quite even more fitting of a metaphor here. Mystic does have his last switch, so just went back to get his Vamp Scepter as well. Lichbane back for Aluka. Items are plenty for World Elite. Again, it's a thin lead, but if they're going to fight, it might be their best moment right now.
And Gamtee in such an awkward spot just because their comp has no engage, and it only wins if you separate threats. They have to fight in an open area, and World Elite just won't press the go button in an open area. So they're kind of saying, come in here, fight us under a turret in an open area. There's no incentive for World Elite to do that. They've caught out Huey, and Spirit does a lot of damage.
Yeah, he does. Respectable damage on the Sedge. Good slow there as well. They're just going to bully Huey away. They actually might have split them up a little too much, but Huey will go down there to Spirit, who's just doing monstrous damage on the Sejuani right now. 3,000 health more than wins. Not too shabby.
But World Elite are navigating this game so intelligently, coming up big in this situation. They take out another outer turret. Spirit, take a bow, because just setting yourself and your team up for playoffs.
Well, they're going to see if they can get there. Remember, this does not guarantee them anything. It simply guarantees that they don't fall out of contention. Conan there resetting with the ulti, heals up. Spirit is falling quite low, taking the turret, but World Elite break the base as a result with the help of the Baron buff. Singjim gets chunked down massively. Xiaohu's gotten chunked as well. Tail also low. World Elite break the inhibitor.
And they can just walk away, and they're playing around Dr. Mundo by choosing these fights in terrains that help them out. Xiaohu takes a massive damage.
Aluka actually flashed forward to try and kill Xiaohu. Almost got it with a creative Glitter Lance there, but World Elite, they'll go back, they'll spend their extra money. Waves pushing top and bot. Gamtee's base is currently under threat.
And Huey is going to find no fun at all.
No, he gets polymorphed there, knocked up by the tornado, and that's another kill. Spirit might chase back in. World Elite almost cheesing there to try and get the win, but they'll get the kill, and looks like they'll have to back away.
But they've got so many advantages from winning one fight. Baron, all the other turrets. Let Me's tanky, but this is 5 members.
So many re-engages here as Tail almost gets hit by a tornado. Tail coming back in, but 3-man ulti from Sejuani. Tail goes low. Xiaohu's going to get killed as well, and World Elite re-engage after re-engage, find 3 fights in a row, and that should be enough for the game.
They're going to pick even maybe Let Me. So tanky at this point. They're culling.
Does not do enough. Angle not quite there. Heal, though, using Mystic, so aggressive, gets the ace completed, and World Elite Papa, I think they've done it.
There's the minion wave. They were waiting for it. They could have tanked up, but they had low health members. World Elite, they're not guaranteed into playoffs, but what a story it would be to go from the bottom of the table, appear in the final of IEM, and now potentially, depending on that result of Master 3 versus Vici, go into the playoffs.
GA gets smited to death at the end, but World Elite still get the Nexus and collect the victory. Spirit congratulates his team for the game they just had. A wonderful 2-0 to get them in touching distance, but that's all it is. World Elite, wonderful end to your season. Take a bow. But they're going to be waiting with bated breath for the last series of today.
Yeah, Spirit and World Elite upbeat as always, but at this point, nothing is secure, as you made clear. They are waiting for the absolute last series. How fitting is that to work out if they are confirmed into playoffs? Just to recap, Master 3 now 1 point behind World Elite, but in their matches, the two best of twos between World Elite and Master 3, 4-0 was the score for Master 3. They're head-to-head much better than World Elite. So in this situation, Master 3 win one game against Vici, World Elite is out. So they have to wait for those results. It's going to be a nail-biter, but that's a fitting end to the LPL regular season.
It really is, and who better to contest for the last playoff spot in our final match of the day than Dade, the playoff king himself. Gonna be one hell of a finish to this race, Papa Smithy, but we wouldn't have the LPL any other way.
And there's been so many legacies crashed already this weekend. Name will not be making it into the playoffs. In fact, it's going to be in basically a relegation playoff of his own, trying to get back into the LPL. Master 3, that used to be World Elite Academy, so on some level, this is a former org fighting for that last spot. Dade, he's going to be trying his best, but what a last series we have to come up.
Yeah, we're not quite at Dade yet, because we do have another match in between. EDG versus OMG as the two titans of LPL are about to go head-to-head.